Welcome to Appointy Tutorials. In this video we're going to talk about the customer booking flow. From here you can basically control the step-by-step process of customer and how they're booking the appointment. So the first tab over here is the booking sequence. Now by default the booking sequence would be set to this, which is service, staff, and then availability. So the first step for the customers would be to choose a service, then to select a staff, and then select the availability. Once they do that, they would fill out their information and confirm and book an appointment. Now this can be changed to service, availability, and staff. What this would do, if you change it to this, is that the customer would select the service first, then they would select the date and time that they want the appointment for, and then they would be shown the staff members available for that time to be booked. Now the first tab over here that you see is service options. From here you can control on the customer portal whether you want to show them the service duration or not. The second tab is whether you want to show them the cost or not, and the third one is requires customers to choose the category on the booking portal. Now what happens is, if you have multiple categories and then each category, let's say for example, has 10 or 15 services, there will be a lot of scrolling that needs to be done from your customers. So in that scenario what you would do is you would select this yes, and what it would do is it would minimize and show the categories only. Once the customer clicks on the category is going to then expand and show the services under that. The second step is the availability options. So as I had shown you earlier, in service level you could choose the time intervals. You can do the same thing over here. Now the availability options are a business level setting, which means that it will affect all the services. These can be bypassed or overruled if you make changes to the services in the service tab. So if the fixed interval is shown at 60 minutes, what this would mean is that the time slot, let's say for example you open 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., the availability is then going to be broken into 60-minute equal slots, which means the first appointment is going to be at 9, the second one at 10, third one at 11, so on and so forth. We do have some other options in the availability as well. The first one is calculate automatically, and then we have precision based. So you can open certain times. Again, this will affect all the services. So if you want some services to have 60-minute slots on a regular interval and others to have precision times, what I would suggest is choose the fixed 60-minute interval for all the services, and then you can go back to service, click on the name, and edit the time interval from here. So you can have the precision time set over here. This will overrule the booking, the availability option for the business level. Below that we have the option to look busy to your customers. You can strike out block times and you can strike out the booked times. So what this would do is the customer would still see the time slots. They would just be grayed out on the customer interface. So your customers would know that you or see that you had additional slots, but those are now booked and you have limited slots. So it creates a sense of urgency for your for the customers to book the appointment. The one below that is layout settings. So you can choose the default tab that the customer sees when they go to the booking link. By default it's selected to schedule. You can also choose about and reviews. Then the calendar on the customer interface by default will have today. So what this will do is the starting date. So if I am opening up the calendar on a Thursday, the week is going to start on a Thursday. So it's going to be from every Thursday to the next Wednesday. Now if you don't want that to happen, you can either start the week on a Sunday or a Monday, and then you can also have a calendar start date. So let's say for example you've opened up the business hours 2 months from now. Now we do show availability from the current date onwards. So the customers might get an impression that for the month of, let's say, November, you are not available, and they might not click on next month to see the availability. So in this scenario, what you would do is you would start the calendar date from the 1st of December, so the customer moves 2 months ahead to the date where you have availability, right? Then you have the staff options. Now in staff options, basically you can have the setting that you want to show the staff members to them so that they can select a particular staff member. You can also keep it optional or keep it mandatory. That's what these two settings are. Show staff members on the booking portal, make selection of staff members mandatory. In a scenario where you have hidden the staff members, so if I say show the staff members on the booking portal no, then this setting comes into play. In what order should the appointments be allocated to the staff? By default, it will be the order in which the staff is displayed. Then we have other options like most free time-wise, most free appointment-wise, most busy appointment-wise. So this way you can set the appointment allocation to the staff members. So each staff member gets an equal amount of appointments. Then the one below that is the login options. Now when the customers are filling or booking the appointments, they need to fill out their credentials and their details. The first name, last name and email address, that's the most mandatory part that cannot be removed. In addition to that, you can also check the boxes for address, city, state, zip and mobile number. If you do want additional questions, you can create an intake form. Now when the customers are filling these out, they have these 4 options. Appointee login basically means that the customer would need to create a password when they're booking the appointment for the first time. Their email would then become their username, so whenever in the future they book or they try to book again, they would just need to type in their email address and the password that they created, and our system is going to gather that and pull up their data that they had filled the last time. We have guest login feature as well. In this scenario, what happens is the customer would fill out the entire form every time they're booking the appointment. The system is not going to remember the details that they filled out the last time, and they do not need to create a password. They can also use Facebook and Google to log in and book the appointment with those credentials. But in these two scenarios, many times what happens is, like as you can see, I've checked the mobile number. Google and Facebook have their own security protocols, and many times what happens is that they do not give out the customer's phone number. So let's say, for example, in a business where you do require the customer's phone number to get back to them, if you have Facebook and Google login, there are chances, many a times a higher chance that the customer ends up booking an appointment without giving out the phone number. So in that kind of a scenario, you would need to uncheck Facebook and Google login. You can have appointee and guest login again, giving them an option to either create a password when they're booking the appointment, or keeping it simple and not forcing them to create a password. The one below that is booking confirmation. So once they filled out their information and completed the booking process, they would reach the booking confirmation page. This basically gives them a summary of the appointment that they've just booked, letting them know the date, the time, the service, if you've noted in the staff, the name of the staff member. From this page they can also create or copy that event or integrate that event to their Google or Outlook calendars. So that's about it for the customer booking flow. See you next time.